Oral skills are one of those things that teachers just struggle to fit into their piano lessons or their music lessons. I know this is true for me as I was growing up as a student. My teachers just crammed in oral skills directly before my exams because they didn't have time to do it otherwise. But this left me feeling pretty insecure about my ear training and not really with any real strategy to use. In piano exams over here in Ireland, we have to do sight singing as part of our tests. So we have to sing at sight a short melody, and every time I went into one of these exams, I was absolutely petrified because I had no strategy whatsoever. And unfortunately, my teachers didn't have time to teach one to me, or they thought that they didn't, or they didn't know what they should be teaching to me because they could naturally audiate it. But I couldn't do that as a student, and your students can't do that either. So whether it's that your students need to sight sing, or they need just better ear training in general, or this is something that you want to get into, I want to share with you my one tool that has made all the difference for this. This is not an app. It's not a widget or a gadget. It's a very simple, very old tool called solfa. Solfa has really transformed the way that I teach ear training in my studio. But I absolutely got started with it in the most simple way. I started with just exploring sight singing with my students. That's where I put solfa into use with those students who were going in for exams and they needed a strategy to be able to sight sing. And then from there, it gradually got into other things. So I want to dispel this myth that you need some fancy Kodai training, something like that, in order to use solfa in your studio. You absolutely do not. The concept is very simple and it's such an effective tool. If you want to get started with your students with solfa, here's the very simplest way to get started. Have them sing with their scales in solfa. So when I talk about solfa, I'm talking about movable do. So that means that no matter which major scale, they're going to sing do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do with their scale. Then expand that to arpeggios as well, because that's really useful and it helps them to hear and feel the different patterns there and see how they're the same in every major key. Some students don't get that right away. From there, you can expand solfa into tons of other areas, and we have loads of resources. We'll link to some of them below this video. But what I want to encourage you to do is just try this out with the scales to get started, because that is the simplest way to get going. And honestly, you have no idea what you're missing if you're not using solfa already. So I hope you'll give it a go. Let me know if you've any questions in the comments. Make sure to subscribe to the channel while you're here for more little tips and tricks and ideas like this.